Hey guys, welcome back to the Rookie Talks podcast. My name's Healy.
My name's Cooper.
Let's go, baby.
Will, there are other people at this table.
Oh, you're right. Any requests?
Welcome back to another podcast episode. Today we got a special guest on. We got Vintage Kit Jackson here.
Jackson, the man from the Go and Go, bro. Fine.
So, bro, so you gave the boy no prep, so he came in. He's come in starstruck, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But let's go.
Oh yeah, bro. You got to.
I listen to these guys on podcasts all the time. Had no idea who I was talking to, and suddenly I worked out who it was. And I'm a bit starstruck now.
Mate, I tell you what, you got bigger fish to fry than me out there, boys.
No, sweet. Thanks so much for jumping on though. We got a pretty good podcast lined up today. We got a few questions going through. For sure, it's gonna be sweet.
Yeah. So guys, this is Jackson from Vintage Kit. And so we'll start off. Just tell us about yourself, Jackson.
Yeah, sweet boys. Thanks for having me, mate. Like I said before, I listen to the show and love what you boys are doing. Just a couple of young, hungry, clothing and podcast entrepreneurs. So my story, mate. I'm a sports journalist. That's my 9 to 5, covering the NRL over here in New Zealand. Been doing that for 4 years now, mostly covering obviously the Warriors, the 2020 Premiers, and also New Zealand Rugby League. So through that, I managed to weasel myself in with the YKTR boys somehow. And that's what Healy was just talking about before. We do the show and go potty Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And last year, tried to combine two of my passions, which was sport, American sport and fashion, and started my own vintage clothing business. So that's how I compact my whole life into about 60 seconds there, boys. So
No, that was good.
that's about it. 27 years old, born and raised in Auckland. So, and I got a missus who's way better looking than me. That's about it.
That's sweet, bro. That's a good story. I mean, yeah, that'd be a pretty good gig, especially with all the NRL journaling. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, it's like I was saying before, before we kind of off air, like you boys play footy, or you love your footy as well, and so did I, mate. I was just another skinny battler out there like you two, getting fucking belted every weekend. So when you're not good enough to play NRL, which clearly the three of us weren't, it's the next best job in the world, man. You just get to sit on halfway, premium, those box seats, looking out over the game. You get to meet the players, talk to the players, pretend like they're your mates for 5 minutes. And yeah, it's a good gig, man. I love it. Love the Warriors, always have. So the fact that I get to rub shoulders with those legends is pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Pretty tough gig supporting the Warriors at the moment.
Easy there.
Mate,
it's the year of the ambush, son. We're just, those first two rounds, we like to let people think that, we haven't got a chance this year. May 28th, we'll be back, mate.
They cut those rounds out now.
It doesn't matter anyway. We knew that, mate.
No, righto.
Legit. We're gonna run through a couple of questions. I know everyone's dying to hear about all your take on the NRL and all sports coming through. Sure. So we got some NRL topics to start with.
Yeah, bro. Far away.
Well, obviously we've discovered your favourite team.
Yeah.
We just want to get your take on how they think they'll actually go when the season starts up again.
The Warriors or the season in general?
Yeah, both. If you don't mind.
Bit of both. Yeah. We'll start with the season in general because obviously we don't know what it's going to look like. We know that it's coming back. Well, they've put the 28th as their sort of D-Day for commencing playback, which would be dope. I don't know what it's going to look like. Mentioned on Show and Go last week, like I'm not with Ice and the boys. I don't want to see the game come back if it's not the NRL. Yeah. I don't want to see some shithouse watered down version. No fans, especially. I'm thinking as a Warriors fan, if the Warriors were to come out of nowhere and win the premiership this year, historically they're going to win in a season that was interrupted by coronavirus in front of no fans. It'd feel fucking weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. Look, I love footy and I want footy to be back. I just want it to be back in some sort of NRL way. I don't want it to be a watered down product. If they go to some fucking island like they're talking, sorry, can I curse? I don't mean to.
Go.
If they go to some island and it's some whole different new cool concept and they, and it's sort of its own thing, sick, we're away. But I don't want to see the NRL just come back for the broadcasting money. It's the game we all grew up loving and watching and supporting. I don't want it to be on just for the sake that the big wigs and dudes in ties can get paid. So
yeah.
As for the Warriors, shit. Yeah, not a great start, boys, but we got Roger, so we'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll get there. Do you reckon? So they're talking about a May 28th start.
Yeah.
Do you actually think that's a start? Or do you reckon that's more of a goal?
Yeah, look, I can't pretend like I've got any inside knowledge. I've been off for the last week and I'm off for
Yeah.
the next 2 weeks, so I'm not working in
Yep.
that sense. But I don't think so. I think it's one of those things where if you set it, it's more like setting a date so that you have something to work towards.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if there's a football game played before or after May 28th.
Yeah.
I just can't see it happening, bro. But look, stranger things have happened. This COVID-19 thing changes every fucking hour. So who knows, man? The more and more, I don't want to get myself in shit, but the more and more I sort of read up on this, I'm starting to think that maybe I don't want to say overreacted because people are dying. That's not what I mean, but maybe it's not as bad as first thought. And whether it's an island where we're testing everyone or whatever it is, I think there is a way to play. So, but I fucking doubt it's happening May 28th.
Yeah, no, geez, an island would be pretty sick, hey? There was talk of the UFC island.
Yeah, I know. That fucking fell through. That would have been fire, eh?
That
You
would
boys
have
UFC fans?
That would have been sick. Yeah, I've just gotten into it recently.
Yeah.
But that would have been absolutely sick. Like even just like it's sort of a bit of an offcut of the actual UFC, but just having people walking around fighting each other on an island.
Yeah, it'd be sick. I know. I mean, and the old like we were talking about it, like just a drone shot of some octagon on some island somewhere with mad cunts scrapping on it. Like, fuck, I'd watch that. At the moment, I'm watching 2K on TV. Like, I'm watching anything right now. I just want fucking sport back on. So,
absolutely nothing.
It's pretty up in the air, but with the island thing for the NRL, the only question is like with the families, they're talking about if they're bringing in the families through, especially
for the
people
Warriors
being
boys.
away. Yeah, with the people being away for so long.
Yeah.
They're going to bring the family through.
Yeah, I can't see that happening, man.
Yeah, because that opens it for more chance of spreading the disease, basically. Do you take a whole family from each player? That adds up being a lot more people.
It's not even that. I mean, the New Zealand government hasn't even given the tick for the... Well, sorry, I should correct that. The Warriors can go over, but there's still this back and forth going on between the NRL, the Aussie, and the New Zealand government just to get the players there. So it's going to be a whole nother fucking hurdle to jump to get the families. I don't have a family, so I'm not going to pretend like I know how hard that could be. But say you had... I'll use this example, right? So when the Warriors got pumped by Canberra and got told after the game that they had to stay in Australia indefinitely, no idea when they could come home. That's hard, and I can completely get why they want to go home and see their families. You take the Wellington Phoenix, on the other hand. So the Phoenix were here when that shit all hit the fan. And I don't know if you boys are A-League fans, but the Phoenix were here, right? So they got a couple of days prep to psychologically say, sweet, we've got to get on a plane, say goodbye to the wife and kids. It's not easy, but it's easier than suddenly finishing a game where you've been flogged, all you've packed is clothes for 2 days, and then being told you have to stay. So it's a long way of saying if the Warriors are given a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks notice, I think they'll survive this 1 year of 8 weeks away from the family. It's not going to be easy, but it's doable. But it's the same for all the boys, mate. If they go to some island, none of the new boys are going to get to see their families either way. So it's not just the Warriors affected by it.
Even if they just play in general, surely it'd have to be some sort of isolation as well.
Yeah, mate, to be honest, this is the thing, bro. I have no idea, son. Like, it's my job to know, but I'm not working at the moment. So but it's, I don't think, like I spoke to the boys last week, I could put in calls today to people who would usually, maybe tell me things or let me know what's going on. They don't know.
Yes.
So, there's 2 or 3 people at the top who kind of, even they don't really know what's going on because this thing's changing all the time. So who knows, man? Long story short, I hope footy comes back. I hope the Warriors go over there and fucking pump everyone. They won't, but May 28th seems a bit of a stretch for me.
Yeah,
interesting. It's up in the air. I mean, it'll be weird to see what happens on that day.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Next question.
Yeah, all right. So, what is your favourite team? If you could bring any player into that team from the NRL, who would it be?
From another squad?
Anyone.
Yeah, all right. Now you put me on the spot. Look, my favorite player, like who I'd love to bring in, would be Kalen, but obviously we have Rog, so we don't need him. But
exactly.
In terms of need, like the Warriors at the moment are desperate for, especially with injuries, for a front rower. So I'd be having a look at, or even someone like a David Fafita, just someone to come in and just Payne Haas. Yeah, I'm not as high on Payne Haas as everyone else. Unpopular opinion, I know. No, he's a gun, but I mean a more like Marty Tapau, Adam Fanua Blake,
Yeah.
David Fafita. We need a big bruiser to come in and start knocking blokes over because we've got such a good back line that we just never get to play off the front foot. So if it was like a dream case scenario, yeah, get Kalen here and just play two fullbacks. Fuck it, just take everyone. But yeah, a big forward like that. I know there were sniffs a little while ago for the Warriors chasing David Clemmer, like that type of player. I think would be best at the moment, but fuck, who knows, man? We still got Sean's money all sitting there, so someone.
No, I think Clemmer needs to stay at the Knights for the top.
Well, just let him come on loan, man. Come on.
No, and Fafita's an absolute weapon.
He's a joke.
Holy smokes, never seen anyone so big.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. That Brisbane Broncos forward pack is just like second to none, eh?
Mate, imagine what those cunts are going to be like in 3 years if they
stay. Especially coming through with mentors like Alex Glenn, sort of things. Like all that have been playing for so long.
Corey Parker still sniffs around training. Just having those rubbing shoulders of those guys. The thing is, they're not going to be able to afford to keep all of them. So it'll be interesting. Like guys like Joe Offahangawa and that who you might not think is the big glamour names, but kind of hold that forward back together. Turpin as well.
Yeah.
So be interesting, man. If they can keep 4 or 5 of that lot together for a while, and Croft and Milf sort of develop, mate, they could be a
premiership.
Back to the old school. Yeah, fucking easy, man.
Hope so.
Easy. Because did you see? I saw it on Clarkie's rugby league column that Fafita is reportedly turning down a Titans offer, an offer $3.2 million or something like that at the Titans, because he made it packed with Payne Haas. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, if Clarkie's reporting it, I have no idea, man. I don't pretend to have sources inside Brisbane, but if I was playing and someone offered me $3 million to go to the Goldie, I wouldn't fucking hesitate. I'd be signing on the dotted line. So if he is, bro, then you're a Brisbane fan, you've got one. But
blows my mind. He's made a pact with Payne Haas to stay there for the next 5 years.
Mate, I'd sign on the Gold Coast for $3 if I could go over there. I don't know.
exactly.
Fucking Brisbane, Jesus.
Righto. Yeah.
All right. Moving into NFL now.
Yeah, bro.
Keen. We'll start on the vintage NFL tees, because I know you have a lot of them.
Yeah.
I want to know more about like your sort of style, what you look for, sort of thing, and what attracted you to them.
Yeah. Well, mate, I've always been an NFL and NBA guy. Like, I love my American sports. I don't really know where that love came from. I just flicked on ESPN one day and saw LaDainian Tomlinson smoking blokes and was like, fuck, this is all right. So, and I've always loved the logo is bigger than the team. So, like, when it comes to, like, say, I'll just use this as an example because I'm wearing it, like the Bears logo is more recognizable than any of the players, whereas someone like Sonny Bill is more recognizable than the Roosters. You know what I mean? So, like, the teams and the shield and, like, the NFL have this mystique about them. And when you put on the clothes, like, I'm a bit of a freak with vintage stuff, but, like, you can kind of feel it. Like, you put this on, you feel like a Bears fan. You feel like you know the team, and all of a sudden you've got a favorite player, even though you didn't know him a week ago. So when I started looking for clothes, man, I just bought what I wanted. And that's pretty much been my model from the start. So if I would wear it, I buy it. And that's what I get here. I don't get, like, I know people, and it's, people get pissed off when I say it, but, like, people love the Harley tees and that. I don't. So I don't buy them. I get asked every day, can you just get in some Harley tees? Get in some Harley tees. Like, if I'm not going to wear it, I don't buy it. And I wear sports kit. So I get sports kit in. And the NFL stuff's just cool, man. The old school colors pop, the helmet graphics, like, the big heavy prints on the front, like, it just works. That's what I like. That's what I wear. So that's kind of what I look for when I'm shopping for vintage anyway.
Yeah, sweet. Touching on that, you got a favorite NFL team?
I do now. Yeah, I'm a bit of a flip-flopper. Like, I change about 3 times a year because it's not like footy. You don't you don't have to be married to a team. Like, if say, like, reverting it back to footy, if you're a Kiwi, right, when State of Origin rolls around, you just side with whichever team looks cooler. Like, so at the moment, the Blues look sick, so everyone's a Blues fan. But when Queensland was smoking, everyone was Queensland fans.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So yeah, goes super fucking hard because they got my boy Stephon Diggs. I love Josh Allen. I love a bit of white boy with flavour at quarterback. Big body who can move.
Sorry, bro, you broke up, like, right as you said the team.
Oh, did I? Sorry. Buffalo Bills.
Oh, right.
So yeah, they got Stephon Diggs. So that's my dude. I love Minnesota when he was there. That's what I'm going to roll with this year. They also got sick kit. Like, the old Bills stuff is fucking mean, man. Like, the heavy dark stuff, the big helmets across the front, the tidal wave, like, that looks mad. So Josh Allen, I don't know what he is, like a quarterback, but he's got a bit of flavour about him. He can move, big strong arm. He's not super accurate, but he kind of gets by. And they low key, I think it's Dawson's their tight end. he's low key, man. Like he makes some fucking catches in traffic, and that was his first year. So second year he could be a fucking problem, man. And Patriots will be weaker as well this time around. So
Brady.
yeah, without Brady, so Buffalo could be. They should be the favourites in that division.
Yep.
And once you're in the playoffs, who knows, man? But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope this coronavirus stuff's all over by NFL season time.
Yeah.
And we can kind of just roll straight in. But
See some
who knows,
speed,
bro?
yeah.
What about you guys? You guys got teams?
No, I don't watch too much NFL. Hey, if I'm being honest, more of an NBA. Watch
Yeah.
NBA myself. But.
Yeah, we're both really NRL, NBA sort of things. I
It's
like.
never too late, man. There you go. Get on Buffalo. Just the three of us will all support Buffalo, all right?
Yeah, right. Buffalo's
We'll start with Buffalo for that one. For sure.
Trust me, man.
Have you seen Quade Cooper throwing the NFL ball around?
Well, he throws it all right, eh?
Oh, tell me. Oh.
Like, Quade fucks me off. Like he's the kind of guy. He just anything like you can think of, he can do it better than you. I guarantee it.
Oh,
Yeah.
without doubt.
He's the type of dude like you'd be at school and he'd just like pick up a tennis racket and smoke it like ace you every time. Like, he's such a knob like that. Skillful, bro.
He throws the ball behind his back better than most people throw it. You know, with their
Most people better than fucking everyone. Better than half the quarterbacks in the NFL.
Oh, he's a.
What about Big Tavita Pangai running the post route? Holy shit!
Yeah, legit.
Imagine seeing that come at you.
Fuck that. You no wonder why the NFL sniffs around here for players. Imagine that cunt running.
You see, there's a bunch of like AFL players over in the NFL, isn't there? Like kicking the ball.
Yeah. Bro, I always said it with like you guys know Dan Carter? You know Dan Carter?
Yeah, Dan Carter.
Yeah, so Dan Carter was like our GOAT. Like I always thought about if you were a guy like Dan, or maybe not on Dan's level, but like a rugby first five or fullback, or even like a Hazem Al-Masri or someone like that, who was a great kicker, instead of retiring, just go sniff around the NFL for like 2 or 3 years. The punters, like Adam Vinatieri, like 42. You can play till you're fucking ancient, and all you have to do is kick it. You don't have to tackle, you don't have to run. Do fucking nothing. Millions, man. You fucking any of the NRL contract you can get, it'd be nothing. And all you have to do is drop the ball into your foot and fucking let it sing.
Oh, it's great. It blows my mind, hey.
Oh, I know. 52-man rosters.
Yeah, that's far out. Hectic. NBA, we've touched on that briefly. Coops wants to know about basketball at YKTR. I seems to think he's pretty hot. You played with him at all?
You know what it is? Like, I was talking so much shit before I went over, right? Like, I'm shit at basketball, man. I fucking love it, but I'm so shit at it, and it does my head in. But before I was going, I was talking big, like, as you do, you know, telling the boys that they don't want to catch you on the court or whatever. They're all pretty good. Ice is actually pretty silky. I'll never fucking tell him that. But like they're just different. Like when you play sports like that with footy players. So we went down with the three boys, all went down, and Lukey as well. Lukey goes all right. He can actually knock him down. Right. But like you can just tell they're a different sort of athlete. Like so, if the three of us played, it'd be a fun competitive game. We're probably all pretty shit, but we're bricking them up, whatever. You play with those boys, it's the same thing until they need a win, until they sort of flip a switch. Or like they start backing you down, you can just feel it differently. You're like, oh, okay, well that's why they're professional athletes.
Yeah, the athlete comes out in them.
Yeah, like I made the very stupid mistake of blocking Normie on he did some lazy little drive and he flipped it up and I went like full hundies, like jumped up in the air, snapped it down, started talking shit, and all he did was start like dribbling it back. He's like, okay, just started fucking smoking me. I was like, yeah, check out, yeah. So they go all right.
I see it and just be like, oh, it'd just be so funny to just see what who actually talks up and who can walk the walk, really, and just see.
You want me to rank? I'll rank them, all right? I'll say out of those boys, Normie's the best.
Right.
Wow.
Ice is definitely the second best. Sorry, Chick. And then Chico, and then Lukey, and then me. I'm definitely the worst out of the bunch. I've never seen the Scope play, but I assume he's fucking awful. So, yeah, I'll put myself ahead of Scope.
Sounds competitive, but
get some 3v3 going.
yeah, it'd be great content, that.
Wouldn't it? You got any more?
Touching on NBA, just your favorite team and then just your favorite player in general.
Yeah, I'm a massive NBA guy. In the last couple of years, I've probably got more into the NFL than the NBA. Just purely because, I mean, you know why? Purely because the Warriors were smoking everyone and it wasn't as interesting, which is what fucks me off about this year, is we finally had a good season and some fucking pandemic sweeps through the world and we don't get to fucking watch it. But favorite, look, this is going to sound like I'm lying, but my favorite team was actually the Raptors. And then I was a DeMar DeRozan guy, like through and through. I'm a bit older than you boys. So like DeRozan was like a fucking goat when he first came on the scene. And he was playing for a team up there that got no love. And I was like, fuck yeah, love an underdog. And as soon as they traded him, I was like, nah, off them, not supporting Toronto anymore. Yeah, and then they win the fucking chip. I know. So at the moment, look, I don't have a team. I love Damian Lillard, so I hope the Trailblazers go as far as they can. Still love Steph. Can't wait to see what they look like when he gets back.
Yeah.
And De'Aaron Fox as well, even though he's a fucking hack on 2K. I still like De'Aaron Fox. Yeah, I don't know, man. Everyone loves LeBron. Like, I appreciate the excellence. So, anytime he's on telly, I watch it. But at the moment, man, I'll say Trailblazers for me.
Yeah, so I love the Lakers just because of the whole LeBron thing. He's an absolute weapon. Watching a bit of the Pelicans as well. Now Zion's there, and they got
I know. They were second. It won't happen, but there was rumors going around that they were looking at trading up to try and get Melo.
Oh,
Can you imagine if they had? I mean, like just from a pure marketing.
Yeah.
Melo, you got Lonzo, Zion there, BI. Like, fuck, it'd be a fun team to watch. Similar to what we were talking about before, like with the Broncos. If you had that much young talent and you got to ride with them, like they would collect so much new fans, man. Yeah. So I don't know, man.
Melo and his brother already have that connection, so it'd just be like almost hand in hand.
Yeah, like I mean, obviously the last time we saw them together was whatever Chino Hills back in high school, so who knows? But Melo, like obviously when he played down this part of the world, like, and I went and covered the game when he played the Breakers here, like he didn't play that well in the NBL. He's playing for the fucking Illawarra Hawks of all time.
Yeah.
Like, you or I could walk onto the Hawks, like, let's be honest. Yeah. But he's still, you could just tell there was something different about him, like his vision. Like he was hitting dudes and they were just missing shots. Like the cunt should have been averaging 30 assists a game. Yeah. Like in the NBA, he'll be able to, not 30, you know what I mean? Like in the NBA, they'll be hitting those shots, so he'll look like a goat. It's just down here, he was hitting dudes in the corner and they were just bricking him. So, it'd be interesting, man. I'm really invested in the draft this year, both NFL and NBA. I love seeing where the new blood lands and jumping on new teams, buying some new kit as well. So wherever Melo goes, I'll be stocking up.
Yeah, then he goes on and buys the Hawks.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's just straight flex, isn't it?
It is. Surely there's no money to be made in that.
But I mean, this is what we were talking about before, man. Like, there's no money to be made in it now. But if more, fringe high school players see what him and RJ did down here and think, oh, that's an option. I can go to Aussie, get paid, first of all. Get paid, play against grown men, and it doesn't affect where I get drafted.
Yeah.
So this whole draft is like if Melo and RJ stay going 3 and 5 or whatever they think they're going to go, if that happens, it's going to open the floodgates, man. Then all of a sudden, him buying the Hawks are now worth X amount of dollars. It doesn't look like a dumb move. So
pretty good exposure for Australian basketball, though.
Bro, it's mad. If you're a wannabe baller in Aussie or New Zealand, like there's nothing better than he's going to be one of the biggest names, whether it's for the right or wrong reasons, buying a team down here. It's dope.
Sweet as. I'll get you talking like, teams struggling, trying to build stuff up. The Super Rugby. What are your thoughts there?
We're good, mate. Don't worry about us over here.
Yeah, you guys are fine.
We'll have our own
competition. Play again soon.
Yeah, we'll be sweet. It is sad, man. Like Raylene Castle, bless her, she's definitely been, she's been dealt a hand that no one could win with. So I don't know why, but I do get it when you take the big pay packet and you're the boss and shit goes south, it does fall on you. But she can't be expected to rescue a sinking ship when a pandemic hits. Like Aussie rugby was struggling before she got there. It was going to struggle afterwards. The way that Aussie rugby is set up, it's not even just the fact that they lose to everyone. It's the actual product. The product they put on the field, shit.
It is,
shit. Like there's so much talent in Aussie. All you need to do is look at the NRL. There's enough fucking talent there. They should be pumping everyone in the world, but it's just it's not the funnels. The systems aren't there at Clubland. It doesn't translate well on telly. The commentators are shit. The Fox coverage of it is shit. So it all just, and social media is terrible.
Oh, sorry, you broke up there, bro.
No, yeah, I was ranting about how shit Aussie rugby is. So sorry.
Yeah, no, I was talking to Coops about this the other night and just saying it's a bit of a rich man's sport. Hey, it's all only I don't know what it's like in New Zealand, but in Australia it's pretty much only played in private schools. You can only watch it if you have pay TV. Yeah,
well, that's the first fucking mistake, isn't it?
And now we're competing against NRL, who's just constantly growing.
Yeah, it's not the same here. It's very much like it was like traditionally rugby is a private school game, but over here it's the athletes and the teams that dominated most of the South team. So it's quite a working class game here. It's our national sport, so fucking everyone plays it.
Yeah.
Rich, poor, big, small, everyone plays rugby. Whereas in Aussie, you're competing with league and AFL, and so you're just trying to get your slice of the pie. But the thing which Aussie rugby, this is just my opinion, fucks up is instead of just owning their slice, they try to take bites out of every other slice. So they try and, it's like, it's the old thing, like if your backyard looks sick, you shouldn't be worrying about your neighbours. Just keep yours looking mad and people will come to your house.
Yep. Yeah, agreed.
You know, you don't have to be competing and trying to wrestle for, why the NRL got more fans. Let's get some of their fans over here. No, just give your fans the best fucking possible product and they'll tell their mates who are NRL fans.
They'll come, yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have to be competing with everyone's competing, but just own your fucking circle. And that's, with circling back to clothes with you boys, like you guys have a sick product. You don't have to be trying to be like, oh, what are YKTR doing? Or what are blah, blah, blah doing? What are blah, blah, blah doing? Take inspiration, but just own your cool little fucking circle that you got. You got a cool product. You got mates who buy it. You got mates who talk about it. The more invested those guys get, it'll grow naturally, So
yeah, that's sort of what we found. We're finding our own way in terms of content and what we're putting out to people, especially. We're doing a bit more of just ourselves and not trying to copy other people.
Yeah, that's copying people's fine, man. Like, I copied the Social Vintage to start, and they're based on in Newcastle. Like, it's fine. It's fine to start off with, but you've got to find your own way because otherwise, all you end up being is a poor man's YKTR, or you end up being you can tell that it's a watered down version, and you're trying to be something. So, like, I wrote a blog the other day, how to start a vintage clothing business, and a bunch of guys reached out and they're like, yeah, bro, I've done the exact same thing, and I'm buying the exact same clothes. I'm like, you can do it. But then it's a content battle and I'll win. Like if you're trying to, you know what I mean? I back myself to make better content. So but if you take what I did and learn from it and build off of that, like there's way bigger vintage outlets out there than me. Like who do you think I'm fucking taking inspiration from? Don't look at me. Look at the big dogs of the world, what they're doing and why that's working. That's what I've done. I've just applied it to what I was into, which was sport. So you boys have a niche product. What are you guys into? You've clearly, like, even just you can tell by the colorway, like your sort of vibe. You guys are naturally pretty kicked back. You can tell by how late we started this potty, like, you're just cruising it out, like, and your clothes should reflect that. You shouldn't be trying to put together a clean print t-shirt that's perfectly steamed and fitted. Like, you guys want that relaxed fit, some stripes, random pops of color, just shit you vibe with, you know what I mean? Hats with straps on them that are fucking old and dingy, like, that's what you want to do. So, yeah.
100%, bro.
Love that. Yeah, I think just in regards to sport, probably someone that does that really well is NBA. Because I was talking again with Coops about it. If it wasn't for what the NBA sort of just did, they own who they are, and MMA as well, and what they do with social media and stuff like that. Like, shit, I wouldn't know half the stuff that's going on if it wasn't for them. Like, I'm not watching a game every week. I'm sort of everything I know is I've learned from Instagram or Facebook, watching it on that.
And could you imagine if Super Rugby did that? Like, how many Super Rugby players can you name?
Man, it's a sport,
you know what I mean?
It's a sport I play, and I know more about rugby league than I do about rugby union.
And you probably know more MMA fighters these days than you do Wallabies. Like, and that's just a joke. That shouldn't be the case. And someone like Australian rugby simply needs to look in-house. I don't want to say clear house because I don't want anyone to lose their jobs. I'm not saying that, but we're going back to clothes again. Take inspiration from people that are doing it the right fucking way, and then own yours. Like, you've got Australian rugby, which is a fucking cool product. You don't have to try and be the NRL or try and be the AFL. Just take inspiration from what they're doing and apply the rugby fucking flavour to it. All you need to do is look across the Tasman at New Zealand and be like, oh, it's never done better over there. Rugby's never made more money over there. We're playing in the same fucking competition. Why are we struggling? It's because New Zealand rugby does content better. The All Blacks do content better. Their branding's stronger. People recognise the All Blacks who don't even know what the fuck rugby is.
Yeah, yep.
And part of it's, because they pump the Wallabies every time they play them, but most of it's just because it's a fucking cool brand and there's now a mystique to it that's built up over time of content. This was before social media, whether it was the haka going viral on, the first YouTubes, or whether it was the black jersey and black socks. No one was doing it, so they did something different. With Mintmo Apparel, you guys are doing something a little bit different. So you never know what's going to pop, and we're circling back again. So this is what I said when I go on runs. You guys got to stop me, but with Aussie rugby, versus someone like the NBA know exactly who they are, and when the NFL starts to kill it, or Major League Baseball starts to kill it, doesn't really, but they don't copy them. They
Yeah.
just do their own shit.
Yeah.
MMA wants to be one of these big sports, but they just do their own shit and they do it well.
Yeah, they own it. Hey,
They own it, mate. The
better than
MMA
anyone.
put Greg Hardy as the co-main event. They put some guy who's got all these domestic abuse charges. They don't give a fuck. That's what they are.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't agree with it or disagree with it, but they're cowboys, bro.
everywhere.
They do what they are. Whereas
Yeah.
Super Rugby, one pissed off person doesn't like Israel Folau and they fucking panic and jump out of the pool. It's like, if I'm not saying the Israel Folau thing's a whole nother fucking discussion, but
Yeah.
they aligned themselves with this guy and made a clear stance. This is what we're doing. And the second it wasn't comfortable and it wasn't right, they jumped ship. And the second the viewership's not there, they change again. And, they're just trying to please everyone. And my thing is, man, rugby is so close to my heart and it's such a passion of mine. And Aussie rugby, like one of my favourite players in the world is Maddox over there at the Rebels. Like there's such deep talent there. Korobedi, like is anyone better in rugby to watch than Marika Korobedi? Like he's a fucking stud, but you don't see anything of him because Aussie rugby doesn't show it. So yeah. No idea what you asked the question of, but anyway.
So talking about all the talent that's coming through, would you say now that some of that talent might be leaking into the NRL now?
You mean with it being shut down and shit, or
just how
it's run?
Yeah, so they'll be looking at NRL because they see so much content, see other players, especially getting like advertisements and stuff. Like
I know for me personally, I played rugby union all my life, but I'm at a point where there's almost no future in it, and I'm considering going over and making league my number one sport. Like,
yeah, I mean, well, you boys are closer to that threshold than me, mate. I'm 27. I'm long out of it, but catching those 17, 18-year-olds is the most important part of any sport. So, if I was 17, 18, and I was looking at the world right now, and you're a guy like Sonny Bill who could choose both physically, which there's plenty. No, I'm not saying there's plenty of Sonny Bills, but there's plenty of guys who are good enough to play both. And they're choosing one or the other, fuck yeah, the NRL looks way more appealing right now.
Yeah.
It's marketed better. There's dudes like Kalen and Connor doing podcasts. People have got clothing labels. They got their own boots. They're TikToking in their spare time. Like, the NRL just looks cooler right now. And that's something where rugby needs to have a look at itself and go, like, I'll tell you from a journo's point of view, mate, dealing with the NRL versus dealing with someone like New Zealand Rugby, fucking apples and oranges, man. Like, dealing with New Zealand Rugby, it'll take you weeks to get anything out of them. I'm not saying the NRL is perfect, but they're easier. Like, and it's the same from a content perspective. If you want to absorb sports content, the NRL is such an easier avenue, whether they're throwing highlights up on Instagram or they're doing Q&As with Kalen Ponga or blah, blah, blah. You jump on the Aussie Rugby one, it's like a post from March. It's like a photo of David Pocock and his career stats. Like, who gives a fuck,
Yeah, legit.
So I don't know, man. I hope they don't, because I want when I was growing up, man, the Wallabies were like fucking the Bledisloe Cup was like the most prized thing in the world. And it was fit for that. You remember that? Like,
I do. Like,
Aussie was like, it was not 50-50. The All Blacks still won more, but it was fucking competitive every time you played them. Even the 2011 World Cup, it was a close game in that semi. Like, right up until that point, Aussie rugby was quite strong. And then, every sport goes through this, the talent dips or whatever. You just have to build it back up with your content. But rugby just sunk with the ship. They lived and died off their fucking talent. And you're going to go like this when you have waves of young guys coming through and good 20 sides coming through, etc. So I don't know, man. I hope they all stay in rugby, but I'm with you, bro. If I was choosing one or the other right now, today, I'm going NRL 100.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, most of the young prospects who had like both choices, they're all going to the NRL. I don't know if you know Sam Walker, had both choices. He was one of the young prospects. He went to NRL. A guy, what's his name?
What position does Sam Walker play? I've heard the name.
He just plays anywhere in the
halves,
backs.
Yeah, he's a freak guy.
But even like someone like Kalen Ponga, he played rugby at Churchie. Part-time, and then off to North Queensland to play.
He'll be an All Black next World Cup, right? Don't worry about it.
Right.
Everyone wanted him, but hey, like that's what it was, and he chose NRL. I bet strictly just for how much publicity he could get as well.
Yeah, easy. And I mean, he was 19 years old, and what are you going to do when you're 19? You're going to take the best offer, and the best offer was clearly in the NRL, so that's where he went. I also think a part of him probably just wanted to play NRL. It looks cooler, like we we're just talking. So, and he's a cool dude. He's cruisy, so he probably wanted that. I dead set believe there's an itch that he wants to scratch, and that's the All Blacks jersey. There's something different about it, which we spoke before, man. Like, if you can do it and you're good enough to pull the jersey on, fuck, man, why not have a nudge? And he's young enough where he could do it in the next 2 years. And if it doesn't work out, just fuck off back to league.
He's so like he's
Oh,
what
Sammy Burgess, man.
22,
He like, what?
21?
Oh, yeah, he's younger than me. Yeah, he'd be 22 maybe.
Yeah, and he's got some stuff to do. Hey?
Yeah, the world's his oyster, bro. He could, and don't want to break your guys' hearts, but the Knights aren't going to win a comp in the next, year, 2, maybe even 3 years. So why not have a sniff at rugby? If the All Blacks came knocking, that means they see something, and they don't miss, man. The All Blacks don't pick duds. So if the All Blacks come knocking, he's got something to give in rugby. So come across, have a nudge. If it works out, don't go back to league anyway. If it doesn't, don't go back to league. So who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
He's got so much following too, like he can just go anywhere really, and so much supporters that, people would just froth over that. That'd be just monumental.
This is what we were talking about before. He's got a brand now where people will start watching rugby because Kalen Pong is playing.
Yeah.
They're not going to be watching it because it's the All Blacks anymore. Like there'll be a bunch of fans that'll come over to watch him. It was the same, like less version, and it didn't work out. But when Benji came here, like I hadn't been to a Blues game in probably 4 years.
Yep.
Benji signed with the Blues, and I got like 5 tickets straight away, like the first 5 games. Now he was shithouse and didn't play, but it was like there's going to be this whole, like if you're Aussie rugby and you're looking at how you can grow the game and you want to do that, poaching dudes like that is a great example, because if you can pay him, like Izzy for example, and get him over to your sport, all of a sudden you're getting this whole new little group of fans that are coming over and having a look. So yeah, come to the All Blacks, Kalen. You heard it, bro. Come on.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, Kalen,
don't do it.
Oh, sweet. All right.
We're back on the. We were still. Oh, we're going back to the vintage scene again, actually.
Oh yeah, sweet.
Jumping around a bit, but yeah.
I want to know what made you start the vintage.
Yeah.
And then what was your first piece that really like got you inspired to keep going? Like what your first piece was that you were like, yeah, like this is what I want to do. Like,
yeah. So why did I start? I started, mate. So like I said before, I was always into the clothes. Like I used to buy them when I was at school. Like you boys, like if I wanted something, I'd buy it from the States and get it shipped here. But pardon me. But it was costing me like, even if I got like a mean deal and I got some like $10 shirt off eBay, I was paying $60 to get it down to New Zealand. So I was like, oh, fuck it. Like once I kind of left school and I was working and had a little bit of coin, I was like, I'll buy a few of them so that I can save on shipping. I'll buy 10 shirts and still pay $60 shipping. You know what I'm saying? So got 10 of them down here. This is last year, and wore them a couple of times. And then the boys were like, oh, can I get off here? So I started flicking them to the boys. And they're like, bro, this is mean. Can you get me more? So I bought 20 in. Bro, this is mean. Can you get more? Got 30 in. And I was like, fuck, there's something in this. Like, so that was just the little flick that switched. In terms of like one product, when I was 18, I got my hands. I went to this, what do you call it over there? Yeah, like a secondhand shop, thrift shop. It's called Save Mart here.
Yeah.
And I pulled out this. It was like XL, this massive red vintage polo bear jumper. Bro, you boys would fucking love it. Like it was amazing.
The polo bear stuff.
The polo bear stuff, original tags, XL, like easily you're fetching $200 for it. And I pulled it out of the $2 bin over here. And I was like, I paid for it, and I was rocking it all the time. Had no idea what it was worth. And then I wanted to buy another one when I got this big fucking stain on it. Wanted to buy another one. And I looked online. I was like, fuck, this is worth a fortune. And then that was another little light bulb, And so from then, man, I started like you boys. I just started selling on Instagram, just to mates of mates of mates of mates of mates. And slowly it builds out, man. All of a sudden you get a footy player reaching out and he buys something and he's got a couple of thousand followers, and then his fans reach out. Like it's the old sheep thing. Like if Sean Johnson wears something over here, everyone wants to fucking wear it. So like, fuck, if you can get a shirt on Sean, you're away. So like, I never got a shirt on Sean, but like, that was my thinking. I was thinking like, if I can keep pumping out cool content, and if I like it and other people like what I like, and that reinforces I'm doing something right. So every now and then, like people wanting Harley stuff, I was a victim of buying Harley stuff, and I was selling it and it just felt shit. Like I didn't like it. So people were paying top dollar for it, but I just didn't like it, man. So as soon as I started believing or reinvesting in myself and what I wanted, the business just naturally grew from that. And that's like you guys as well. Like you've probably already felt on this journey with Mintmo, like when you are selling something that you guys believe in, or you're posting something that you believe in, it probably gets more traction than something that you're just posting because you're like, oh, we need content today. So it's a natural thing for me with like, I love this jumper right here. So if I start posting the fuck out of this jumper and talking about how cool this is, it'll sell better than a Harley shirt that everyone knows I don't really like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about passion into it, hey.
You can feel it, bro. Like, you can feel it. Like, I know you guys are YKTR fans. We use YKTR as an example. Like, there's nothing different between that shirt you're wearing there that says Mintmo across the front and one that says YKTR across the front. But if you put them two next to each other, most people are going to grab the YKTR one.
Yeah.
They're not going to grab it because it's a cooler shirt. Like, that's a cooler shirt. Like, I like that one more. But I'd buy the YKTR one because you're a fan of the journey. You're a fan of the process. You're a fan of the brand, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
no,
the same.
we hear you boys talk about that a lot, actually, and Ice in particular loves to talk about that. And
Yeah.
that's sort of
Yeah.
something that, as we've learned, and that's the stuff we learned from you guys. So it's pretty sweet.
But you guys are cruisy boys. Like, you guys have got a cool story anyway. You're a couple of mates fresh out of school that are trying to flick some shirts. Like, just fucking like go with that, man. Like, you don't have to try and be anything that you're not. Well, I know you're not. I'm not saying you are, but there's no like, everyone thinks there's like some secret hack that you can do, and all of a sudden you start making hundreds of thousands of dollars selling clothes. That's not the game, man. If that's what you're chasing, you're not going to succeed. So there's nothing different from my vintage, from the social vintage, to Dan Street Vintage, Wacky Vintage. All these guys we're selling the same clothes, but I'm selling mine with a different story. And for whatever reason, people seem to be vibing. I have no idea why. I'm annoying, but yeah.
No, you're not, boy. No, that's so true, though. Exactly what you're saying. I've heard it from a lot of people, and I think it's something we've discovered and we're continuing to discover.
Yeah.
Just finding out sort of things we like to post. So I know now the stuff that I post is literally everything that I like.
Yeah, and you'll be getting better feedback from it. And once he grows his hair back, just get his pretty mug on there a bit more, and we'll be away.
I've been in front of the camera, that's for sure.
Yeah, bro. So we all were when we started, man. You got to do it. And this is a good step. Even the fact that you guys are podcasting, like, don't, the biggest thing, don't look at how many people are listening to it. Don't look at all that shit. Don't stress about that. Just keep producing content, man. On days you don't want to do it, sit down in front of a mic and talk about how much you don't want to do it. Just keep fucking doing it, man.
Yeah, see, we I think we got a bit of a passion for it. Like, we'll sit here, hit the stop button and sit here afterwards and go, oh, that was fucking sick, man.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. And see, that little buzz that you don't get that from working a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, 100%.
The dream is, you've got to, everyone's got to work. I still have a job, but the dream is that eventually this passion that you guys have, which is sitting down with the bro and having a chat and flicking some t-shirts with some colourful writing on them, like, if that can supplement your guys' income, then you've fucking made it. It's not the multi-million-dollar house up on top of Sunshine Coast. Like, yeah, that's cool, but fuck being an accountant and having to do that, or fuck being a lawyer or a fucking dentist or whatever those cunts do. I don't know. I don't know how the people get those houses, but like, I would much rather do what you guys are doing with my mate and make a tidy little living than any of that shit. So
100%. That's the goal, honestly, bro. But we like the process of it, so we'll just
keep... that's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't like the process, man. That's why they dip out.
Yeah.
If you boys are enjoying learning and you're enjoying struggling, like, you have to, man. There's going to be a shitload of downtime. There's going to be times where, whether it's taxes or stock or whatever, where you go, fucking hell, that didn't work. Just who cares? Jump on a podcast and talk about how badly you fucked up. Like,
legit.
Why not, man? That's why you got a microphone there.
Of course.
You got any more about the shirts?
Oh, actually, this is a kind of cool thing that I actually wondered. People who collect vintage clothing,
yes,
would you ever want to create like your own vintage inspired piece?
Yeah, like, so we talked about before, looking at like taking inspiration from the big dogs. So the best vintage player in the game is Sean Witherspoon and Round 2 Vintage in Hollywood. So Round 2, if you don't know who they are, jump on and look at, bro. They do everything the best, man. Sean Witherspoon's the one who did the Air Maxes, the colourful Air Maxes that everyone got.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those are his. So he designed those. He's the man, bro. Like, you follow him on Insta, he's just fucking cool. So Round 2 are a vintage store. I forget where they started, but they're in Hollywood now and Chicago. They got a couple of stores dotted around. They don't have an online shop, or maybe they do now, but they didn't for years. But they started creating their own. They got to a point where they were so big that they could start designing their own clothes. That's sick, but for me, you can't replicate vintage, right? So all I'd be doing is I'd be making a shirt that says Vintage Kit on it. Yeah, I make a few originals here and there, but I just do like old school sports prints on them. If I could do that with my own tags, yeah, one day that'd be sick. But in terms of making my own shirts, like trying to replicate vintage, you can't do it, bro. So I wouldn't try.
Interesting, yeah. No,
there's the whole thing. The whole reason vintage sells is nostalgia. So you can't make something feel old, or you can't you can't print something that has a story. You know what I'm saying?
100%, yeah. Because I
This
see
is the
all
story.
like
When
some
you
of the teas that get like recreated and stuff, and it makes me not want to buy it because I want to be.
exactly, and like, and part of the thing with me, like, if you knew that there was 900 of these, and I was trying to sell you one, would you be that into it? Versus if I said I've got one of these crew necks,
Yeah,
and you buy it, like, you'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna get that one. Like, so there's that part of like getting something where no one else can get it.
yeah,
Yeah, there's a million more of these around the world, but I only have one. So if you come to me and you buy this one off me, no one else is getting this jumper. No one else is getting a jumper that looks exactly like this, that feels like this, that has this weird smell, that has that rip on the back, that has the stain on the shoulder. I know I'm not selling it now, but like, so that's the whole thing with vintage. So in terms of maybe one, but I'm cruising at the moment.
nah, that's sweet. Yeah, that's the big thing for vintage. I think is like it's all one-off pieces that most people sell. Like they're not really
Yeah.
more than one of them, which
I
is
got offered from one of my suppliers, like, he got his hands on this, circling back to NFL, on this Buffalo Bills gear, and he's like, bro, I've got 3 of these jumpers, and they were mad. And he's like, yeah, I'll send them down. I was like, I'll just send one. Like, they were all time, but there's no point in me having 3 of the same jumper, because that takes away from the story. That takes away from the chase and the thrill of getting the only one, you know?
yeah, of course.
Mm.
That's so true.
Yeah, boys.
Yeah. Please, Coops, take it away.
I'm gonna touch on YKTR Sports because I didn't know like fully what your job like was there. I know I've definitely seen you on some of the vlogs and things.
Yeah.
I wanted to like, you don't have to tell it into depth, but I wanted to know sort of what your role was.
And also just what it is. Sort of why it branched off from YKTR.
Yeah, okay. So why I branched off. So I was just like you boys, I was just a fan of YKTR in terms of the sorry, you broke up there. Got me? Yes, wait.
Yep.
So I was just a fan of the content, and I saw Ice on his story started to talk about some of the frustrations he was having with traditional media. And from someone who works in traditional media, I understood it, and I understood why there was this divide between journos and players. So when he mentioned that he wanted to start his own media company, I emailed him straight away and kind of gave him a description. This is my name. This is what I do. This is how long I've been in the game, and this is what I think I can provide. I didn't say anything about I want to work for you or fly me to Sydney or any of that shit or how much does the job pay or whatever. I just said, this is what I think, and this is what I think we should do. And he just clapped back and said, yeah, done, let's do it. So it's a long story. I flew over, used my own money, flew over, met the boys, kind of talked about it. This was November last year. And he said, we're going to call it YKTR Sports, and this is the kind of content we want to make. And me, him, and Lukey sat down, had this little brainstorm, and then our plan was to actually start round 1 this year. And while we're in Sydney, he just goes, fuck it, why don't we just do it? Like, it doesn't cost us anything. The website's free. You just jump on Squarespace. You can do it for however much Squarespace costs. We've got access to footy players. Like, why don't we just do it and see what happens? So we turned the Tech Project Instagram into YKTR Sport. Yeah. So we were lucky in the fact that we already had 8,000 or 9,000 followers, which a lot of people don't get that leg up. But we went with that, man. And my role with it, so, on the old email, it says content editor. So I basically handle all the written stuff. So whether it's the articles that go up, I'm the one who does a lot of the interviews with the players that aren't on the potties. So the Q&As, the shoe stuff. So we jump in a WhatsApp chat every day, spitball some ideas. Lukey's always got great ideas. Ice has got great ideas. And then I sort of hit the ground, hit the phones, and start sort of creating content, man. And it's been an awesome journey, man. They're all good dudes. Like, you never want to sort of meet your heroes, but Ice he's exactly as he seems, man. He's driven, he's cruisy. Like, obviously I was a fan when he was here playing for the Warriors. So like I kind of knew him in that sense, but never knew him as a businessman. And he is fucking driven, man. Like, and he's never, the biggest thing with Ice is he doesn't pretend to know everything. So he'll write, he's an amazing writer, like, especially for a footy player. Like, that he's an amazing writer, but he'll send me a piece and go, can you do your thing to that? Let me know what you think, and there's no sort of ego with it. When I say, nah, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, he goes, yeah, sweet. Like, it doesn't make him, he's not embarrassed by any shortcomings or whatever. And I'm the same now. If I have a question about podcasting or whether it's vintage and I have a question about email marketing or whatever, I reach out to him and I don't feel like a dick when he tells me I'm doing something wrong. So they're a cool group of dudes, and that we've built this nice relationship where we all sort of just help each other. And YKTR Sports, or now YKTR Media, it's gonna the plan was and always will be just to be the most trusted platform in sports media. We just want to be a place where players can come in, talk shit, and if they're not comfortable with what they've said, then we don't fucking run it. Or so that's the plan anyway. And my role with it at the moment is head of written stuff and jumping on the show and go 3 times a week, and I absolutely love it, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
sweet.
that's so
I'd say. Yeah, on ice when ice speaks, man, like, he just sounds fucking smart. Hey.
Yeah, he is, bro. He is genuinely a smart guy. And I'll never tell him that. And I hope he never hears this podcast. But like, he's a smart guy, and the reason he's smart is because he doesn't think he is.
Yeah.
He thinks he's, he doesn't think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So he asks questions, constantly asks questions. He's constantly reading. Like, he's listening to podcasts. He's watching ebook tutorials. He's watching fucking online courses. Like, he's constantly trying to be better. And he was the same as a footy player. Like, was Isaac John the most gifted halfback in New Zealand? Fuck no. Fuck no. But he ended up starting for the Warriors alongside Stacey Jones. Like, he just works hard, man, and he wants to better himself and he wants to learn. So
yeah, and I just feel like when he talks, like people just listen. Hey, like me when I'm driving, I can be like zoning out or whatever, listening to the Ice Project.
Yeah,
he just starts talking. I just can't help but listen to what he has to say.
Yeah, it was probably why he was a good player, because all the forwards listened to when he was saying, fucking get in there. So, yeah, there's definitely something about him, and there's a reason the brand is what it is today. It's not because they make amazing clothes.
Yeah.
That's just something that you can sell to customers, really, who just want to support you.
Yeah, and this is going to be the same with you boys. Like, I automatically now want to buy a shirt off you guys, and I don't even know what the shirts really look like, just because you're cool boys. So you can take the Ice, the Ice Project model, podcast, show that who you guys are, and there's going to be a bunch of people that don't fucking like you, who cares? And there's going to be a bunch of people that do, and the people that do will probably buy shit off you. So
100%.
Oh, cheers, bro.
Yeah. That's the goal, but yeah, we love this sort of thing. We've always wanted to start a podcast from the start, really. So
the fact that you're 17, 18, 19 years old, however old you are, doing a podcast and selling clothes, you're already miles ahead of any of these idols that you have, whether it's Isaac John or whoever.
Yeah.
You're already miles ahead of them, because none of us were doing this at your guys' age, man.
I saw that. I loved that YKTR lace thing you did. Was that you? You say that was you that did that?
Yeah. Well, that was me and Lukey. So Luke's a big massive fan of Complex and Bleach Report and that. So Lukey had this idea, and should we start reaching out to boys, especially in isolation, and see their shoe collections and that. And we got more stuff coming on that, like video tours of people's wardrobes and that. So like Aaron Smith's already sent us one of all his shoes and that. Like, that sort of shit's cool. Like, what are we into, like, as fans? Like, when there's no footy on, do we want to watch the boys practicing goal kicking? Not really. Do we want to see what they're eating? Do we want to see what they're listening to? Do we want to see what they wear? Do we want to see how they go on a surfboard? Like, we want to see all the other shit. We don't really care if they're doing burpees in their driveway, like, But if you want to all of a sudden, like Normie shows you his shoe collection, and he's like, "Wow, this pair's my favorite. Like, this pair's what I wear when I'm going out. This pair I haven't worn them in 4 years. This pair aren't out of the box yet." Like, that's interesting shit. So that's all Lukey. Like, yeah, I go out and reach out to the boys and put it together, but Lukey's the one that comes up with a lot of these ideas. So we're kind of a three-headed monster. Like, Lukey comes up with a lot of the ideas. I'll go and sort of try and execute them, whether it's blog or whatever, even though Lukey's actually writing now as well. And then Ice kind of gives it all the green tick, or says, nah, how about this? So it works well at the moment.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that sort of unique content that not many other people, like, you don't see that anywhere else, those sort of things. And it's
yeah,
cool
you see it in the States, but there's a reason why guys like Complex and that are so big. It's because it's fucking cool. So if we can do it, yeah, we'll try and do it.
I got a couple more about YKTR, the things to do with it. I sort of want to see, like, just in where you're going and what you're doing now at the moment, where you want to see it heading. Because I know you do a lot of writing and things, and I support that sort of stuff where you're doing off your own back and you're writing that sort of things to help other people. I want to see where you want to see it heading, to be honest.
The brand?
Just in general, and like what you're doing. Whether that's for YKTR, whether that's for your own vintage.
Yeah. So YKTR, I think we're heading in a good direction at the moment. So I wouldn't change what we're doing. I just think we can improve on it. So we can create more content. We can create better content along the same lines. It's obviously hard at the moment with everyone in fucking lockdown. So we don't know where anyone's at. But yeah, I think we're in a good space, man, and we're building towards something pretty cool. Like, we want to be YKTR, the clothing brand. We want it to be the biggest clothing brand in Australia. We want it to be the number one t-shirt, like the number one clothing brand in Australia. and we want YKTR Media to be the biggest fucking media company in Australia. Like, those are massive dreams. You know, Fox Sports is worth multi-million dollars and they've got all the broadcasting deals. We don't want that. We just want to be the platform where you and Healy jump on your phones and straight away open the YKTR Media app if you want to get your sports content. Like, that's what we want to be. We want to be the people you come to get the cool shit. We're never going to be the people where you jump on and watch a live game and, you know, see all of us sitting there in suits breaking down Caleb Ponga's step. Like, do that. But we'll sit around a podcast with a couple of beers and talk about how he's like got the coolest fashion sense. Like, we'll talk about like how many birds he's probably killing up there on the coast. Like, that's what we'll talk about. But that's the plan at the moment. I think we're heading in the right direction anyway. And like with Ice and Lukey and Normie and that, there's a good group of people leading in that direction. So I'm just riding the coattails, man.
That's mad as.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, some of the stuff like how get around a few beers and just talk about some of the boys and what they're up to. It's sort of what we're doing, but
we do it just on a lower scale.
Yeah, it's not a lower scale, but like, what do you guys do? Like, so if you've got a day off or you've got a night off, what do? You go around to your mate's place, you get on the beers, you watch the footy, you talk about girls, you put on your best clothes and you go out and, you know, fuck around. Like, so that's what we should be catering our content to.
Yep.
We shouldn't be catering it to 45-year-old married couples sitting on the couch watching footy, like, because that's not our demo. Our demo is 18 to 36-year-old men who are interested in sport and fashion and music. So that's what our content should reflect. And with Mintmo Apparel, like, you guys are, you know, you're young blokes from the coast who have a certain lifestyle and you're into, so, you know, getting on the beers and you're into whether it's surfing, skating or whatever. So your clothing should reflect that and your storytelling should reflect that. You know, you should be creating shit for your mates. So if you guys just, whenever you're creating content, think about what each other's into or what your mates are into, what their mates are into, and you just watch this thing. I can already tell as driven as you boys are and the cool product you have, it'll grow naturally from that, man.
yeah, it'll be sweet. I can't wait for that.
Right.
Thanks for the support.
Mad. That's mad. Are you got anything else in regards to YKTR?
What about like, what was your favorite piece of content you've had to create? Whether that's meeting like some of your dream like childhood stars or just doing a content piece for someone that you were like, yeah, that's sweet. Like, is there something like that for you?
Yep. It wasn't with YKTR, it wasn't with Vintage. The coolest thing I've ever done was we did a big multimedia, I'll send it to you after this, with stuff on Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. So everyone knows Roger and everyone knows his story, but we told it in a very long form, featurey, graphic heavy. You know, it was the longest interview he'd ever done. We sat down for about 40 minutes and just talked about his childhood, basically. It's shot in this super HD, like cinematic lens. It's all blacked out. Like he's just come from training, so he's all sweaty. He talks real candidly about his old man. There's some cool graphics, some info stuff of him stepping, and he's sort of breaking it down, what he's looking for. Like, it's a super technical, you know, heavy piece where we barely even fucking talk about footy. But it's the thing I'm most proud of because it gave people and myself a look or a different look at a guy that we already thought we knew everything about.
Yeah.
So everyone knew that Roger was this kid from South Auckland who came up, was stepping everyone, went to the Roosters, was a gun, came to the Warriors as the man, as a fullback, and loves his old man. Like, that's what everyone knows about Roger. But when you read it in his words and you tell it in his words, and there's these heavy graphics, and we got these kids to sort of reenact it. So it's sort of this like film clip almost of his life. There's these young kids from South Auckland. We found a cool family who did it. So Roger's narrating, and these kids are out there in the backyard in bare feet, stepping the clothesline, like, and you feel like you're watching a bit of a movie. Yeah. And so that's kind of what we wanted to create, and I think we did it pretty well. I know Roger was happy with it, and his manager was happy with it, so that was the most important thing. But like when we finished that and when we published that, I got this real like, fuck yeah, like that's the best thing I can do. Like, that's the best thing I've ever done, and I'm super proud of it. And I didn't want to change any of it, which is very rare for me because I want to change fucking everything I do. But for me, that was the number one piece of content. And with regards to YKTR, that's what we want to do more of. We want to do more of these big, long, feature, in-depth looks at people's lives, you know, off the footy field, because we know what Connor Watson does on the footy field. But how cool would it be for us to follow Connor around for, you know, a weekend with a camera, and he's just driving in the car talking about his life, any sort of struggles, what he loves doing, going out with him in the water. Like, shooting it in a way that you can sort of feel like you're part of the journey.
Yeah.
Like as fans, wouldn't that be what you want to see?
That'd be sick. And he's just a cool dude. Hey.
Yeah. The other thing is he's just a fucking man. So yeah.
That sounds amazing though, what you created. I reckon I'm keen to check that out for sure.
Yeah, I'll send it to you, bro. Like, hopefully, like, if you're not a fan of Rogers before, like, you'll be a fan after this. So that was the plan with it.
Oh, if that's how it ended up, man, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, I've probably overhyped it now. You're gonna watch and be like, "What the fuck was he talking about?"
I get that. I'm sure you probably guessed now. Coops loves the clothes, the vintage stuff. I love the footy and all that side to it.
Yeah, yin and yang, man. It's good.
Love the sport. I think, are you all good with those questions?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the answer's been phenomenal, man.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
We
I
can't.
don't know how long I've run. I told you to be careful with me, man. I don't know how long I've gone for.
No, bro, we love it.
It's
honestly.
the best content we've had so far.
Oh, that's cool, boys. Hey, listen, with regards to Mintmo, man, just keep doing what you're doing. And yeah, you've got something unique and you've got a cool vibe. And as long as you don't beat yourselves up and get stressed about anything, just keep rolling with it. And just think, best case scenario is you've got a successful business with your best mate. Like, fucking up. I'll be putting in hours to work towards that, man.
Yeah.
Easily as close you can make now to get to a point where you're selling clothes with your best mate and podcasting for a living.
Yeah,
So
that'd be the dream, hey.
Yeah.
that'd be the dream. Work hard, boys.
Cheers. Big thanks to Jackson for that. Big ups to Coop for getting him on. I actually came in having no idea who I was talking to.
I
Made
know.
a bit of a fool of myself asking a journalist if he was a fan of footy and sport like that at the start before.
Yeah, well, it's all love, man.
But yeah, so that's Jackson from YKTR. Thank you.
Rookie talk, get around it.
Cheers.
Hey.